at approximately 170 east, 1100 north in the R112 single-family residential zone.
Okay, with the last two items being approved, this is really simple. So here's your 6-lot subdivision. It does show access off of 1100 north, and that access is planned to extend up. I'll move back here a slide. You'll see that there's an existing road up at this point. The connection will not be made at this time, but as this land develops here, there will be a connection of these two roads. So again, this plat was recommended unanimously by the planning commission.
Okay, can you show the connection point again?
Existing road right up here, just ends right there. The new road will come up right at this point, so there will be a future connection right there.
Across the street, how close is that to the Grove Crest entry exit?
That's a little bit further over here. I believe they know where that is.
Any concerns from you, Kevin?
No, this is a small enough addition to the area that even with the extended up here, that it would still be a small impact on the street.
So it's right about here, the exit, when you come off of 1100, or off First East, the exit under 1100, and then the other loop is right about here.
Clearly outside of the limited distance for offset. Can you go to the second?
So the conflict, there may be a conflict there. Where I would not be concerned is
The site plan.
this
There you go.
170 East is not a terribly busy street. So
Okay.
you may occasionally have somebody coming out of there wanting to turn left and go east down First East where the schools at one of its busy times. We don't generally concern ourselves with where a driveway is located relative to a street, just street-to-street connections.
Right. And this is a street.
This is a street, whereas the school's exit is just a driveway.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. But it is far enough away.
It doesn't line up with it, and it's close enough that it could be a conflict, but I'm not anticipating, I wouldn't anticipate a tremendous amount of traffic on 170 East where it wouldn't be just an occasional car. Ultimately, when the roadway network is completed, then residents on 170 have other alternatives to link the neighborhood to.
Okay. And that continues around, and it's what, 300 east?
Yeah, you could come out on 300 East or out onto First East.
Can you explain that turnaround?
So the turnaround, any temporary dead-end street, like I said, if I'm right, over 150 feet long is required to provide a temporary turnaround. In the past, we did that with a temporary cul-de-sac. Those end up being problematic when the next person comes along. There's a lot of money to be spent to remove that cul-de-sac out and continue the road on through. So now what we do is either allow for a hammerhead turnaround at the very end, or they could do a one-sided turnaround within 60 or 150 feet of that end of the road. My recollection is this applicant is planning on doing a single side on the east, and they'll incorporate it into the area used for the driveway for the home on that side. So they understand that there's a restriction of no parking. We do have some of those in town where the driveway is used that turnaround, and you can't park in that portion of your driveway. But it's available for anyone needing to turn around at the end of the road, whether it be emergency vehicles or RC building or and big personal vehicles.
So question, so when the snow plower pushes all the snow to the farthest north side, we're gonna have a place to push the snow?
We don't.
Instead of somebody's driveway?
I honestly don't know what Public Works does in those situations. Push them to the end.
They push it to the end, but we just make sure that they understand that, where they don't put their driveway right there.
Yeah, I have to tell you honestly, I've never thought of that when we looked at a building permit, and there are residents who put their driveways at the end, and They just have to deal with that aspect of snow removal. There really isn't a way for us to do anything different with the truck. Even if you back up, you can't get to the end of the road.
Right, so it will just go straight to the end, but on a big snow, you're gonna have, at the end of that road, you're gonna have a big pile.
You're gonna have a little bit of a pile of snow.
Other questions for Ken? Further discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make the motion that we approve, let's see, a 6-lot final plat called Larsen Acres Plat C, located at approximately 170 east, 1100 north in the R112 single-family residential zone, Big Springs neighborhood.
Motion by Ben,
Second.
second by Sid. Any discussion? I have one comment. I didn't see on there that the hammerhead, that you said it was a one-sided, so there's no need for the hammerhead.
Right, not for the hammerhead. but,
Okay, all right.
I imagine that's a note on the plat.
They hadn't designated it yet, so it's one of the outstanding comments for the plat. So they'll provide either way. Again, because it is the same family, even though this property isn't included, they could provide the hammerhead here, or they can do a one-side.
I guess my question is, does it need to be on here for our approval?
The only thing that's asked is that when you approve it, as always, approve it subject to all final engineering and planning.
So let me amend my motion, Mayor, that it's subject to all engineering and, say that again, Davey?
All final planning and engineering comments.
All final planning and engineering comments.
In our staff reports, and although, and Dagan's good to bring that up, we had a discussion about this, that it'd probably be good to include that whenever we approve a plat, that we include that comment, because there's always some hanging issues. But that is in your staff report as a recommendation from staff to include that.
So when we do the agendas, or would it be better to put it on one of these things for that language? I mean, whichever is easiest, but I just don't know that we'll remember.
I think if you'll read your motion on there, I think.
The sample motion?
Sample
Yeah,
motion.
I think the sample
Okay.
motion and the staff
That
report.
makes sense. Okay, thank you. All right, so we have a motion on the amended motion and a second on the amended motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Item G is another public hearing to consider for adoption an ordinance 2014-11, rezoning approximately 12.42 acres of property located at approximately 600 West Center Street from MD Manufacturing Distribution to DV Downtown Village Zone. This is in the Little Denmark neighborhood.
Okay, so here we have a somewhat similar situation where we have a request to rezone, but it kind of affects the remaining area around it. It didn't seem to make sense to just focus on that one property, so we're expanding to the rest. Although this does not require a general plan amendment, it is in line with the general plan. So this is a map of the general plan, so the outlined area in red, within which is a general plan designated for retail commercial. And retail commercial allows for all types of commercial zones. But currently that property, and again, the property is located here on 600 West. You have the Water Gardens Theater to the west of that. You have Center Street on the bottom here, and you've got the railroad tracks to the east side, and then the pipe plant will be across the street to the north. So all of this area is being considered for the rezone. And the request came up basically because a smaller piece, and I'll move forward to that, well, we'll come back to it, within that area is being requested for a specific project of senior housing, and we'll get to that for the next item. So anyway, this area for the senior housing needed to have a zone change because senior housing is not permitted in the current MD zone, the manufacturing distribution zone. So this area has been identified in my department since I've been here as a potential zone change area because the manufacturing distribution did not seem to make sense for the future of those properties. And we did have several discussions over the years with some of the property owners as to what to do with it, what zone should we take it to, but nobody was ready to move forward, and so we just kind of left that hanging. Now we have a developer who wants to do a significant project on a good portion of that property, Like we do senior housing. Senior housing is permitted in certain commercial zones, and the downtown village zone seems to be a likely candidate since we're just adjacent to that, and this makes a good entryway into the downtown area right at 600 West. So we recommended that he request a downtown village zone on his property there. And then as we carved that out, these large pieces right in the middle, it just left some small pieces down here on the bottom in MD and some, those smaller ones along 600 West in MD, and that didn't make sense to leave those.
Sure.
So we went ahead and noticed all of the property owners within the designated area here that we would like to have the zone changed on all of those to the downtown village.
So, a couple of questions for you. Costume Craze is not in this area, is that correct?
Costume
They
Craze
over-
is just right here, currently
okay.
in the downtown village zone.
On the corner of Center and Sixth, you have a car repair shop, I
Yes.
believe?
Yes.
And also like a U-Haul kind of thing going on?
They have had U-Haul, but I don't think so.
Is it not? No U-Hauls, okay. And then just in from that, we have
Elks Lodge.
the Eagles Lodge.
Eagles Lodge, yes,
Right.
sorry.
Are we okay there, compatibility-wise with the alcohol and the
Well,
zone?
those would be grandfathered in, so
Okay.
they're existing situations, and so anytime they want to do any significant improvements to their property or develop something new, it would have to fall under the downtown village.
So any remodels, anything like that, is gonna have to change?
Right.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Ken?
So of any of those people that might be impacted by a remodel, are any of them present, or have any of them been involved in this process?
There may be some present, but we haven't heard from them since we sent the notice out.
Okay. Well, it is a public hearing, and I think we can ask, if you'd like to, address the council on any thoughts or concerns you might have on this.
Yes.
Could you tell us state your name and your address, please?
Thanks.
My name is Earl Brohard. I'm the president of the Eagles Club. And we were just concerned, we're in the process of